Hi, I'm Isabelle Sparrow and I'm the Communications Manager at Carbon Copy. And today I'm speaking to Nicola Davidson. Hello, Nicola, co-director at MaidEnergy. So welcome, thank you for joining me. And first of all, can you just start off by telling people about yourself and what your background is and how you got involved with MaidEnergy?
Sure. Hi there. It's good to meet you. I'm Nicola Davidson. I'm one of 9 volunteer directors for MaidEnergy, which is a community benefit society, commonly known as a co-op. I've been part of managing that society for about 5 years now. Within the team, there are a couple of accountants, engineers, and people with all sorts of different skills which bring projects together. But the team asked me to join because I'm a charity grant writer by trade. I studied environment protection at uni down in Devon. So I'm fairly green, but I could be greener. I will try.
Everybody could be greener.
So I was motivated to reduce my own family carbon footprint because I didn't really want to spend any more money on my house. I can't afford the solar panels. I'm not ready to invest in an electric car. So I thought, well, I'll try and do something local. And I can actually, through MaidEnergy, I can achieve so much more, I think, in terms of carbon saving than I could individually. So I'm doing whatever I can, however I can.
So you've got a new share offer from MaidEnergy, which is really different to previous share offers. So can you tell me about like what the new one is, but also kind of what you've done historically, which makes this one quite different?
Sure. So we've always concentrated on solar projects to date. We've had 7 of them, all on different community buildings, so schools, leisure centres, and a few charities. So it's been very varied, but it's always been solar because that was making the most of the government feed-in tariff for solar. All of our projects made the most of that, which was great, but that has finished. So now we're making the most of the government's renewable heat incentive. That closes in March. So one of the sites that we put solar on, which is Thames Valley Athletic Centre, they talked to us and said, is there anything else they can do? What can they do more to green up? So we said, well, we'll look at other options.
That's amazing. So there are already people that you're quite familiar with, and you've got that sort of relationship with them, and they've come back wanting more, which is lovely. It sort of feels like you've obviously formed quite a good rapport. And do you feel like there are other organizations in the community that you might sort of have the same sort of thing with, who might want to do something further as well?
Yeah, we've got a good relationship with all of our sites, and we've had many more inquiries from other types of sites, all sorts of charities usually, because they've heard that we can save them money, and we're pretty savvy at using incentives here and there. And because I'm a grant writer as well, I get involved in so many local charities that need money, who haven't got their own fundraisers, so they bring me in and they say, oh, well, we know you're interested in renewable energy. Is there anything we can do in that respect, rather than just bringing money in?
Yeah.
Can we be more business savvy? So yeah, lots of conversations flying around. So many great organisations that really could do with a leg up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things that it sort of seems like such a huge problem for organizations to overcome, that sometimes they just feel like they can't do anything, so they don't do anything. So yeah, it's really helpful to have people in the community like you that can support
Yeah,
those changes.
it's such a shame that a lot of organisations, they either haven't got the right sort of geography or the right a roof new enough for solar, or they're not close enough to a river to consider water source heat pump, or they don't own their own ground, or they haven't got a long enough lease. So there are many projects that we'd love to do that aren't quite right, but when we do get hold of a project, it's all systems go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you've been over to the leisure centre this morning and you've taken some photographs, and do you want to show us those and sort of tell us a bit about what's happening there at the moment?
Sure, yes. So I'm being able to TVAC, which is a fantastic facility. I used to take my son there when he was part of the athletics club in Maidenhead. It's incredible. So it's a massive, great big place, not far away from Maidenhead and Windsor and Slough area, with a great big racetrack outside and a huge hall. So this is quite a good photo to show the size of it. There's about 500 people capacity on that stand.
Gosh.
Yeah. Inside, they have got some massive boilers. Hopefully
Wow.
that shows you there. So they've got these 8 giant gas boilers. They're pretty much coming to the end of their life, and they said to us, look, they're so expensive to replace. They're gas isn't the way forward. We know a lot of homes are looking, obviously legislation means that they have to not be gas for new builds, so why don't we try and get ahead? And we mentioned the renewable heat incentive. We said, well, we'll look into seeing if we can do anything. And because I'm a grant writer, and one of my other colleagues is as well, we managed to secure a £19,000 grant from the Rural Community Energy Fund to investigate the feasibility of not using all these gas boilers anymore, but doing something innovative using that tariff. So that 19 grand has been spent on the feasibility, creating our share offer, and getting the share mark as well. And making sure we've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. So hopefully we haven't got to rely on these boilers anymore.
That's amazing.
Oh, and here's a picture actually while I'm faffing about with the screen of the inside of the hall as well. It's quite incredible. This massive building requires a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of mad really to have such big carbon guzzling boilers heating it up if we can do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, it's a huge space, isn't it? I can't imagine how how much heating that would require. My house is always freezing, and that requires quite a lot of heating. So yeah, gosh, amazing.
It's a big site, and when I've been there with my son on events, you've got 600 kids competing in this hall. You've got all their parents, and the noise from all the cheering on is fantastic. So from the perspective of the users, it's a really good facility for us to support and look to improve their carbon footprint of.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does it actually work with the share offer then? So how can people invest? How does it, what do they have to pay, and how does that all work?
Okay, so investors, they enable us to collect up the capital funds. So we put out a share offer like the one we've got at the moment. Once we've got the capital, we buy and install the equipment on the buildings. So far it's been solar, as I've mentioned. We then sell that energy that's generated to the site at lower than grid prices. So they know they're making a saving with us, and it's guaranteed to be lower than the grid. We also export any excess where relevant to get the government feed-in tariff. And the profits from the sale of that energy to the site and the tariff from the government are enough to pay our investors back a good return of up to 5%. And those investments are usually long-term. So we would expect 5, 10, 15, 20 years for the investments to stay in there. But we're fairly flexible wherever we can be. And for each site, we also gift them a portion of the shares based on the size of the renewable energy installation. And we think that's really important so that they feel that they're part of the co-op, the society momentum. So that's really important to us as well. And this community benefit society model is really starting to become popular across the country because people are starting to understand this model of working and trust it, which is great.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's really lovely for people to be able to be part of something that's so local to them as well. And obviously you're saying that, a lot of young people use this facility, and, so their parents might want to be involved in something that they can invest in, something that's like familiar with them and their families and that sort of thing. So have you had a lot of interest in this share offer so far?
We have. It's been really quite exciting. It's not been open for very long, but because we've already got 130 people who have invested in the past, I think we've amassed a total of £450,000 on previous solar projects. So we've got a good following already, and we're finding a lot of those people are choosing to reinvest. One of the interesting things about the way we do this is that even 16-year-olds can invest for as little as £100. And I personally, I'm very keen on the non-standard person looking at this sort of business model, kids getting involved by investing some of their money, grandparents perhaps buying their grandchildren shares in MaidEnergy is great because they can then get involved. It's £1 per share, so that value doesn't change. You just buy the amount of shares that you want to buy. So it's interesting that a kid who's 16 might have an investment of £100, has the same voice as someone who might want to invest £20,000 or £60,000 if they're a business or an individual. So I like the idea that young people can get involved and have a say.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, the true spirit of a co-op, isn't it? It's that everyone is equally involved and a sort of partner in it, which is lovely, really lovely.
Yes, it is. It's one member, one vote. I like that.
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously this is something that you've been involved with for quite a while now, and you sound like you've got quite a healthy sort of supporter base. It's something that I think a lot of people can kind of envisage happening in their community as well, and something that they'd be really excited to set up in their own area. So have you got any sort of top tips for anyone who would want to set up a similar kind of energy society in their own community?
Well, several tips. First of all, I'd suggest start small enough to gather your proof of concept, because then it's not unwieldy. You can test things out as you go along and see how it goes over a couple of years. We found also that sites with renewable potential, obvious big roofs, for example, can get bombarded by commercial salespeople. So when we ring them up and say, we're a co-op, we've got lots of advice, do you want to get involved? They just think we're a commercial supplier and put the phone down. So you actually got to work with sites who actually get what you do. Maybe there's a champion on the board of governors or the trustees or something like that really understands it, because they will then generate interest as a trusted person within that organisation. Also, if a co-op like ours has multiple share offers, we've found it valuable to lump the percentage return to investors all into one, so that it's not one investor investing in one project. It's more of a community feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. It feels like a huge thing for someone to start, but presumably, you found like-minded people to work with, and that's a really big part of it as well. It's a collective action rather than an individual action.
It is, and we've also found that some of our members have been interested to set up their own co-ops in other places. So we've been really keen to help share anything we can to help them get off on their own feet, because none of us are competitive with each other. We all want to help this movement to grow. So we are keen to share anything we've learned with any others.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's exactly what Carbon Copy is all about. So yeah, really lovely to have you on here and talking about it like that. So I guess that's kind of everything that we had to talk about. But I think for us at the moment, it's been a long year. 2020 has been a difficult one. And so our kind of focus in December is about being hopeful and, looking to 2021 with hope. So just wanted to ask, what gives you hope?
I think that ordinary people like me, because I'm no expert, I've got a bit of a green history, but ordinary people can get involved in the cooperative movement of this kind of thing. You haven't got to be an expert, you've just got to be a team. Yeah.
That's lovely. Yeah, that's a great sentiment. Well, thank you very much for your time. And if anyone wants to find out more about MaidEnergy, there's an initiative page on our website, on the Carbon Copy website, or you can just search for MaidEnergy and you can find out more about them online. And good luck with the share offer. It closes on the 3rd of January, is that right?
On the 5th of January.
5th of January, sorry, 5th of January. So you've got time to get involved if you're interested. So thank you very much, Nicola, and take care.
Thank you.
Bye.